Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort showing up in court in a prison jumpsuit and a wheelchair today. His right foot was raised and in a sock. A source telling CNN that he's experiencing a serious medical condition, inflammation that's related to his diet now. This is just days after we learned that he and his lawyers have met with Bob Mueller's team at least 9 times in the last 4 weeks. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez is out front with me now. Evan, where does this put us with the Mueller investigation and what we learned about Manafort?
Well, Kate, we still don't know when Mueller is going to wrap up. We keep hearing that perhaps it might, by the end of December, he might produce a report. But in court today, one of the things that prosecutors said from the Mueller team, one of the things they said is that they don't know how much longer Paul Manafort will be providing cooperation as part of this investigation, because that's part of one reason why they were hoping that this judge would delay his sentencing. But as you heard today, the judge said that he would sentence Paul Manafort in February, and he's looking at some very serious time because of the 8 counts that he was convicted in back in August in the Eastern District of Virginia. Now, keep in mind that he, as you said, has been cooperating with the Mueller team since he pled guilty to the charges here in Washington. So we'll see how much more help and what kind of help Paul Manafort has been providing to Mueller, and we'll see some of that come out in the months to come.
Also new tonight, though, the first person to be indicted in connection with Russian interference in the 2018 election. What can you tell us?
Right. This is a big deal because a lot of this investigation has been looking back at the 2016 election. Yeah. What we learned today is that the prosecutors say that the Russians are still doing this, and they're doing it related to the 2018 midterm elections. And this woman, her name is Elena Husyainova. She is a Russian national who has been helping to fund some of these Russian trolls that we've heard about in the Mueller investigation. And one of the things that these guys were doing was essentially trying to pit Americans against each other. This is a $35 million operation, according to prosecutors. It's something that they were doing not only in the United States, but also in Europe. They're targeting issues like LGBT issues, anything having to do with race relations. They were even targeting Senator McCain and members of Congress and Robert Mueller. They said that Robert Mueller is a member of the establishment, or is a puppet of the establishment. These are among the things that they're using Facebook and Twitter and other places to try to sow divisions among Americans in the lead up to the 2018 election. So pretty much the same playbook that we saw happen in 2016 is what the Russians are up to again in 2018.
Yeah. All right. Evan, thank you so much. Out front with me now is former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Harry Sandick. Harry, Evan was just pointing out, in court today, prosecutors were saying that they couldn't say how much longer that they need Paul Manafort, that Manafort's cooperation is needed in the Russia probe. Does that tell you anything? Does that give you anything in terms of where they are in the investigation itself?
Well, it says that it's definitely not over yet. If he's going to be sentenced in February and the prosecutors didn't say that they thought he would be finished cooperating by February, that they would need to submit some post-sentencing motion to give him credit for his cooperation, to me that says they have hopes that they can use him to build more cases.
We know that Manafort and his legal team have met with Mueller's office at least 9 times in the last month. You've been involved in cooperation deals.
Sure.
Is that unusual? I mean, is that unusual? What does it say about, I don't know, how useful Manafort is to the investigation?
I think it says that there's a lot of debriefing. Now, they probably did less debriefing before his entering into the agreement, because we'll recall he was on trial and wasn't cooperating until pretty closely before his date in court date in September. So they have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of ground to cover, and meeting twice a week, probably for a full day, suggests that there's a lot of downloading going on, and it sounds like this is going to continue for several weeks more, at least until he gets sentenced.
All right. Again, we will see. Harry, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you.